Sean, are you ready to go live on the mic? Was that a yes? Oh, your microphones aren't on.
Testing.
There you go.
Hello, is that better?
Yep, you're good
Okay, we
now.
still have some people coming right in, so hang on a second.
Hey, Sean.
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Good.
So stuff that
All right, I'm going live with your mics.
Okay, sounds good. Cheryl, you know, you are the chair. If you'd like to sit up here.
Yeah, why don't you come up here? Because I don't really belong up here yet.
all right, we'll just take that down for right now.
In fact, you might know this gentleman over here on our left.
Yeah, you can sit right here.
You just might.
I might.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, and if everyone would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, we are a little short-handed today with our committee members. And I would like to invite everybody that is online. If you are available and you would like to join us, I would really appreciate it. All words of wisdom are good help. Approval of our agenda. Well, I guess we're going to have to approve that next bond.
Is Jamie and them not on?
And they're at their son's game, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I guess we will put that off till our next bond committee meeting. Approval of our minutes. I
I don't think we have minutes.
don't
this
even
time.
have, yeah,
No,
I don't have the minutes.
no.
Okay, so we will do that next bond meeting also. So next we will go to our superintendent report. Mr. Gallagher, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd first like to introduce our new project management team, and that is Chris and Nancy Giggy. And I can see that they're online with us. Chris and Nancy, you'd like to say hi?
Hello, everybody. Sorry we can't be with you this evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So one of the things we wanted to review with you tonight was the Bond Oversight Committee roles and responsibilities. And my bad, I forgot to bring the board policy on that. But basically the Bond Oversight Committee is an extension of the school board. And so it's still a public meeting, and we take minutes and we invite others to join us. We're accountable to public meeting laws with this, and the membership is approved through the board per recommendations. So I know that later on we're going to talk about Bond Oversight Committee membership, because as you can see, our numbers have kind of dwindled a little bit here. And we'd love to get more people involved in the Bond Oversight Committee. I know I've talked with the Geekies about this also. They would like to see more involvement. I think you're going to be very pleased with some of the outcomes that you're going to see tonight. We actually have 2 GMPs we're going to be taking to the board for approval tonight. Woohoo! And we're seeing some forward motion.
Awesome.
And so that's really exciting. So really at this point, I'm going to turn it over to the Giggies because they have presented a report, as you can see in your packet there, called the Construction Manager's Report. And I was hoping that they could kind of walk us through that in terms of where we are at with the project. As of today, things have been happening even as early as just an hour ago. So hot off the press. So Chris and Nancy, it's all yours.
Well, thank you very much for letting us join you on this. We're excited to see what's going on with the bond program now. For those of you who are new to what's going on with the bond, we've been spending the last few weeks asking a lot of questions. We've had a number of discussions both with the school district leadership, the design and construction teams, the various consultants, and a lot of time with the county trying to find out where things are with the permits. And we feel like we're getting our arms around it now. We've got a pretty good understanding, and some things we're still working through, we're still figuring out, but we're feeling pretty good about where we are right now. The report that you see in front of you is the report that you're going to get from us every month. During construction, if there's active construction, we may be sending you a weekly update or just a construction update, but this overall construction manager's report will come out every month, kind of overview of everything that's going on. You can see as you kind of look through it, it gets down into some pretty good detail with the budget and schedule, and Chris is going to address those aspects of the project here in just a few minutes. But I wanted to just kind of tell you that's where we are right now. And Chris, do you want to go ahead and talk about the budget and where we are with that right now?
Sure, will do. Does everybody have the report and the budget spreadsheet from us and in your
Yes.
packet? Okay,
Yes.
great, good. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do a share screen here. Let's see. That way I can talk about the same thing that you have. Hang on just a second. I had it open. There it is. There it is. Okay. Can everybody see that on the screen? Is that visible or is that too small?
Well, it's kind of small, be great, but they do have a hard copy in front of them.
Okay, great. I'm going to blow it up a little bit.
Yeah, much better, much better.
Good. And I want to take a little time, if I could, to walk through this, just to orient you to the summary. I think everybody saw a budget summary that was put together by a consultant from information back in December. This has been updated. We've actually had updated information from the business manager. Some of what was in that financial summary that you received was accurate, and some of it was assumptions. There were some plug numbers in there, if you will, for potential costs. So we validated those to see whether or not we need those costs or not, permit costs. A good example of that is there was, I think, $45,000 in the prior budget for expenses for SDCs. Those are system development charges. There's no SDCs on this project. That's if you have a water meter or a main connection. We validated that with the county. So what I want to do then is refer to this one going forward. This will be our format, and we have two parts to it. Part in top labeled income, and it has the green headers. It has an original budget category. We're not going to spend much time there. Current budget is where we're really going to spend a lot of time, and then actuals. And you'll see some notes there. This is pretty consistent with the summary that you had before, with the bond sale and the premium on that bond sale, plus the awesome grant, the ESSER funds, and then some additional facility budget from the general funds that were allocated. You've got just about 5.1 million for the overall project, the projects that you're trying to accomplish. Is that part of it pretty clear? Any questions about that? I'll go ahead and go on, but please stop me if you want to ask any questions on this. It's a lot of numbers, so I want to give you time to digest it. But you'll be seeing this over and over every month, as Nancy said, and it'll start to make sense. In the expenses, we've got these different categories that we break it into, related to construction and design and consulting fees, project management, permits, furnishings, if there are any, other costs like the attorneys and the bank fees, and then an owner's contingency, which is a very important number. And you'll see down here at the bottom under current budget under expenses, this matches. So this is like a balance sheet. The current budget for the expenses needs to match this for our income up above. And then the column that is committed cost, you'll see that's quite a bit lower right now. That's only a little more than 900,000. Those are actual contracts right now. So design, for example, has been contracted, but construction hasn't been. And we're going to be talking about that. That's the amendments. There's some of the work that has been, but not much of it. And so as we go, committed costs will actually grow to meet the current budget. The other piece of this that Sean sees in the business manager, and I'll click on this. If you can see this, this is a detail sheet that goes with it. So we track the committed costs and the actual costs for all of the individual items. So for example, this one here that I'm highlighting, I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Hopefully that's a little more visible.
Have that.
We don't
I
have
don't
that.
see anything like
Okay,
that.
they don't
No,
have that one in front of them.
right. You don't have that in the report. We can include that in the future ones if you'd like. This is sort of a work in progress. And we'll
Can
make
you blow
sure.
that up a little bit bigger, Chris?
Sure will. How's that?
Yeah, I think we can see that.
Okay. Just to
Thank
give you
you.
an example, we're listing the organization, CB Construction, but Benton County, just to take that one, that's a simple one. And then all of these columns here are they match those categories in the summary. And Benton County, if you scroll over here under permits and fees, that is what has been committed so far for permits and fees. So let me go back to this summary sheet just to reference that right here. And you have this one in front of you in the permits and fees section of the expenses. You can see that amount 5507 is in the committed costs. But our budget is actually higher because we know we're going to have more permit fees with that. Now, the heart of this and what we're going to be talking about tonight is the construction cost. And right now you can see the committed cost for that is pretty low. And that's because it consists of some expenses have been paid, but I think 200 and some thousand, 280 some that was for the bathrooms. But we don't have the hard committed construction costs yet. We just got them right before this meeting for a couple of the packages, but we don't have them for those 4 packages. But this budget right here, this number, the 4,370,000, that represents the amount of money that you have after these other committed costs for designs and fees, and allowing a 5% owner's contingency, which is important as we get into construction. And just to jump right to the bottom line right now, with the numbers that we have from CB for the 4 construction packages, where this shows the 4.3, but we really need about 4.8. So we're about, with their numbers, they're about $400,000 over budget. And we've got some strategies that we're working on just in the last week here to try to trim that down. And we'll be talking about that this evening. That's the budget spreadsheet in a nutshell. We could spend a lot of time on that. I'd be glad to answer any questions. But unless there is anything, and we'll have this available in subsequent meetings, unless there is, I want to get to the heart of this, which is the GMP estimates for those 4 construction packages. So is there anything from anybody here before we go to that? And I'm sorry, the screen's small. I can't see hands or anything. I think I can hear you pretty well.
Chris,
Uh,
I'm sorry.
go
This
ahead.
is Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hi. Hey, so I'm looking on the income and it says the original budget at 4.2 mil. Okay, we have 4,200,000, right? And now it says the current budget, 5,097,000. So is that just something you're just what it might be? Or I don't get what the current budget.
Right. No, that's a good question. For the sake of this project, I don't know that this original budget column is that pertinent to us. We normally we get involved in a project at the very beginning and the owner has a certain budget target that they're using. And then that will change as the income amounts come in. You can see the differences between the original and the current is, for example, in the bond sale, right here. Let me blow this up a little bit. Is that a little easier to see?
Yes.
Great. In the bond sale, you can see the difference in the values.
Yes.
And that came from the premium in the sale. So the actual value of the bond sale was higher because of the premium that was there. The bond sale, the value was actually better than expected. You can see that the Awesome Grant stays the same. And then here's the ESSER fund. So the ESSER has some funds that are available to school districts to use on certain types of projects, like HVAC type projects. And so that amount of money is being tracked. That's just not something that we had for the original budget. We could put it over there. And then same with these additional funds that are here. Those are the differences that take us to the 5.1.
Okay.
That's what
Does that make sense?
Right. Yes. Now it does. I think my thought was on that bond sale, the differences between the 2,100,000 to the 2,289,000. So the value of that is better. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's encouraging, and I'm probably stealing a little bit of Nancy's thunder here, but one of the things that we were very concerned about when we first jumped into this is timing wise on the construction. We have a certain period of time to spend money, or we could lose the Awesome Grant, and that's March of next year, and we need to spend this amount of money. And so that was one of the things we looked at was a work off projection from the contractor. And as it turns out, with the work packages that we're talking about now, we're not going to have any problem meeting that deadline. So
That's
that
good
was
news.
that was a relief. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Anything else on this before I'm going to stop the share screen? We can come back if there's questions. But I wanted to share the latest we have from CB Construction on the GMP packages. So I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see. And I believe it, and Sean, they have this in their package as well, right?
Yes, I do believe so.
Great. Does everybody
Yep.
find this in their package? It says draft on the top, but it's just a couple of days old.
Are you talking the main power upgrade?
This is the one, if you can see it on the screen, this is the GMP summary for all four of the work
GMP
packages.
summary for all four. Do you have that?
Yeah.
It says draft on top.
Do you folks have that?
Okay, yeah.
Great. Okay, good. Because it's and I can blow it up and we can look at specific things, but it's it's a lot of details there. So you folks probably already know this, but we understand and we learned here just in the last couple of weeks that there were 4 work packages that the board prioritized, and I don't know the timing on that, but I guess sometime in this last year. There was a lot of things, as we know, going back a couple of years ago. We all remember there was a whole list of items we wanted to do with the bond funds. But I understand that there were 4 work packages that the board decided to prioritize, and those were an electrical upgrade for the school. And I understand that is just in talking to Keenan and the folks, the contractor, that's pretty much a have to. The school's in such bad shape with the electrical. And related to that is kind of over here in this column is the panel room. So there's an electrical panel room that needs to be built so that the gear can go in there for this electrical upgrade. So I'm not quite sure why design wise that was split into 2 packages. Those are really integral. The third one is this HVAC upgrade. So that's the getting new heating, cooling capabilities throughout the existing facility, since that's in such bad shape. And then a fourth one, and I'm not necessarily giving you 2 of these in priority, but a fourth one is the VOC building that I think everybody knows about. That's the work that was started right in the front of the school, and everybody I think understands pretty excited about the capabilities of that building. So were you all aware that those are the 4 priorities for the work packages?
Yes.
Okay, terrific.
You can't see us. I'm sorry. I'm shaking my head.
Shaking your head.
Yeah. So there are other, in fact, the architect passed along to us several other design packages, and we put them in our files, but those have been set aside. Even some of them were submitted for permit review, but those have been kind of set aside right now. There's no work happening on any of those other packages. So the priority here in terms of as we've dug into this a little bit, the priority for what needs to be authorized right away is really the electrical upgrade in the panel room. And that's because the long lead times on the electrical equipment, it's a year out. And that electrical upgrade has to be completed in order for all the work for the new HVAC equipment to be powered and the new VOC building. So in other words, we could complete the VOC building and the HVAC upgrades, but until that electrical upgrade is done, you can't turn it on. You can't use it. So what we had been pushing for in our meetings with the contractor has been upgraded GMPs updated. I understand that they gave some numbers to you and some partially completed GMP amendments back in September. And the board had some questions, and some of those were answered, maybe not all of them were answered. So anyway, that's what we've really been focusing on in the last couple of weeks, is trying to get those really nailed down with hard numbers that they were put in a complete amendment. And we have two of those as of an hour ago, and that is for the electrical upgrade and the panel room. And so I'm going to go down to the bottom of this just to give you and we can look at any details you'd like, but just to give you an idea of where those numbers are. They do have some things we changed. We'd been talking, and Sean and Keenan are aware of this, about specifics. There are some elements of these packages that weren't needed, and so they've removed those costs. But you can see down at the bottom for the electrical upgrade, and that's, I'm going to blow this up over here. That's this number here that is the subtotal that they're showing. And this is with all their markups and their general conditions and all the costs relating to this. It's about a little short of $750,000. It's a tremendous amount of work. And then the panel room project is this one here, 335. It's actually a little less. They're taking some of the work out of it. So you can see that just for those two, we're spending a little more than $1 million. Does that make sense to everybody? Can you see those numbers?
Yes.
So then the numbers that we have right now for the two other packages, and I'm still going to try to keep this high level, and it's a lot of information, so please stop me, slow me down if you want to talk about any of this. But the HVAC upgrade, if you follow that to the bottom, that's this number here, 820,000. But as we were digging into that, and Sean and Keenan and ourselves, and kind of poking at these numbers with the contractor and the architect, we found out that there's some things in there that shouldn't be included. There's some existing equipment that doesn't need to be replaced, and that cost is in this number. And the other thing is that in talking with CB Construction, their mechanical contractor, they're a good company. In fact, I just want to mention, because I think some people like Ryan and others are interested in this. If you scroll up, you can see the subcontractor name that is actually selected for the different packages. So the mechanical contractor is CJ Hansen. Anyway, between them and ourselves and talking with them, the architect, we had a meeting about mechanical systems earlier this week, and there's some value engineering ideas to bring this down. The rough number that CJ Hansen said is based on these value engineering ideas, and that's a big part of it. That's this for the HVAC upgrade. That's this $421,000 right here, and they think that with the value engineering ideas, they can get that down at least 20%. So that's really helping us, getting us in the direction of the cost savings that we need. But we're not going to get there just on the changes for the HVAC upgrade. That'll help. That'll get us in the direction. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
No.
And we can come back to any of these, but I do want to touch then on the VOC building. And that is, I think, the heart of it. You can see here on the package and on the screen, I don't know if you can see this, but right now the number that they have is 2.6 million. So that's the greatest part of our construction budget is being spent on the VOC building. It's big. And if some of you haven't had a chance, I don't know how familiar with you are with the plans, what the plans call for. We've actually been trying to study those. and get up to speed on what was designed on this, because I understand that it goes way back. It's not this group here that participated in that design necessarily. Perhaps some of you were around during that time, I don't know, or not even necessarily the board, but it's a lot of money. In a nutshell, it's a sizable building, and only about half of it, even though we're going to build the structure around it, only about half of it is going to be finished inside for a computer lab and a paint booth and a metal shop. And there's some elements to this as we started looking at this that really jumped out. In fact, I think the mechanical contractor, the subcontractor, CJ Hansen, put it well. The HVAC system is overkill. It's the type of system that you would, frankly, we'd have a brand new 50,000 square foot school, and it used these makeup or handler type systems versus just some simpler, much simpler systems. So it's got some real opportunities, and this is where we're actually going to need to find that value engineering to trim the budget. And our goal with this is to do that without cutting educational capabilities. We don't want to give up the metal shop or the paint booth or the computer lab, the design center. We want to have that, but we need to trim. Basically, we need to trim some fat out of this, and that's our opportunity. That combined with the HVAC upgrades. So very high level again, looking at this 4 work packages, the electrical upgrades really taking the lead. Those are the ones that we have the GMP amendments that we just got from them. And it looks like their numbers are solid for those two. So I believe those are the ones that we're going to be recommending that those be, and Sean, just to be clear, not in the format that they've given us to it. We do have a couple of things they need to fix, but it's not much. But
Yes.
After that, I think those are going to be ready to get approved, hopefully this week, so they can get going on ordering equipment. And then timing on the other packages, this HVAC upgrade, we're expecting here probably by the end of next week that we'll see some numbers from CJ Hansen that'll help us. And then we hope shortly after that to get that one, that GMP amendment to put together. But there's some pieces to that. Electrical costs will come down, other things like that. Then the VOC building will be the last one. The way that we're approaching this is looking at the budget that's available after the panel room, electrical upgrade, HVAC upgrade. After those numbers are tight and we get them set, then we'll know, based on the cuts we were able to make over there, what do we have to do with the VOC building to get it there? Again, with that strategy of let's simplify what was designed without taking away the educational capabilities. So that's our strategy that we're working on right now. Thoughts, questions, concerns, ideas from that?
So I'm looking at this little graph here that it doesn't have a name, but it has a lot of little, it's very small print.
Kind of like
It has a lot of dates on it. So are these?
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me pull it up on the screen if I've got it here.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's see, there it is. Let's see, so where's the share? That one. Yeah, here we go. And okay, I think that's up on your screen. Is this the one you're talking about? It may not have the electrical upgrade box about it, but it's.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Yes, yes.
Yep. Go ahead, please. What's your question?
So all these dates on here, are these specific dates for projects starting, or what is this?
Right. This is what is called a master schedule. And so this is a Gantt chart format, and they created in a software that we're very familiar with. But I'm going to blow it up here so that maybe it can make some sense. It's hard to see. Really, most of the time when you see these, you get used to looking at it on a huge, like, drawings or otherwise you can't see the detail in it. There we go. Scroll over here. So the heart of this is these lines over here help you with a visual perspective of things that are happening over a period of time. But I'm going to blow this up and get back to the heart of it, which is these items. And I don't know if you can see that okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. But these are tasks. These are work tasks. What they do in a master schedule is they break it down so that, let's just take this simple one, the electrical upgrade at the beginning. They've got dates plugged in that says they're going to plan on ordering equipment here, and you can see the date, Monday, 2/20. That's when that starts. And here's the duration, 340 days. So that's what we were talking about earlier. That equipment has a lead time after the order of it of almost a year. And so that's what this schedule does, is it says, okay, we're going to put a start date and an end date for that activity. And then they break down their work on this. They're going to mobilize. They've got some site electrical that they're going to do in March. The generator, they're going to create a concrete pad for the generator, emergency generator that comes in. They've got some asphalt patching. And then you can see after, in this line, for example, after April 19th, 2023, nothing happens. And the reason is because at that point, they're just waiting on equipment. And so that equipment comes in, and it comes in a year later in June, and they install it and they power it up, and then they do a switch over for the system. So does that make sense? Does that kind of answer your question that that's what this is?
Yes, it makes sense to me.
Okay. And
But
oh, please go ahead.
I'm sorry, but when I look at your electrical upgrade, okay, so it's because of equipment? Because it doesn't say that it's starting until 2024. Am I looking at this wrong?
Let's see. Am I highlighted on the date that you're talking about?
See, it says trenching and stuff like that.
Can you see
Is
that
it because
okay?
of that? I mean, all that.
Which,
Am I doing
there's
something wrong?
Hang on a second,
There-
Chris.
I
Hold
might
on.
be looking at the wrong thing.
yeah, no problem. No,
Oh.
it's a
I was
lot
looking
of,
at the wrong page.
yeah,
I'm
Okay, she's
sorry.
on the right page now.
Chris, I do have a question though.
please do.
So the generator was on there and then the board took it off, right?
Right.
So is this just in preparation for that? Because I know they were gonna get the switchgear still for a generator in long term. But the pad and all that, does that need to be done just in case?
No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't have to be done.
Because I know they were gonna put the switchgear in for future use for a generator,
Mhm.
but the generator itself was no more. So if we don't need the pad and stuff,
No, I mean, you could work with your grant writer who's writing the grant for that,
She's-
honestly.
She's looking for grants right now.
yeah,
look at
to
the maintenance
to
of-
make
or-
up that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
it's
if
not
we
part
don't
of the
get
bond
that-
project, it's not part of the bond project, yeah.
If we don't get that grant, then we really don't need to put this money into a pad if we don't have a generator right away.
One of the things I see in the package, and this may speak a little bit to it, is there's infrastructure to conduit and other things for that.
Yeah.
Putting that after the fact, I think it'd still be possible. It'd probably be more expensive. So I think you're right. That's a call that you'd have to make to look at this and say, do we want to spend some money on this?
Okay.
And I see Andy is on. Andy, are you on here? He just sent me a note about it.
He's
think
muted. He's muted. He needs to be unmuted.
I don't know how to.
Nathan can do that.
Oh, okay.
Andy, are you on the meeting?
Everybody should be able to unmute.
Thank you, Nathan.
Where is it? Oh,
Anyway,
He's remote.
I'm not sure if he's able to comment on it or not. But and Ryan, that was your comment, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly the type of thing that we've been trying to crawl into and understand. There's a lot of things that are reflected on the plans that CB construction is saying, that's not in there anymore. So we're trying to get all that nailed down.
Chris,
But
the only
that's
thing
one
I
of,
can- the-
go
the
ahead,
only
Sean.
thing- The only thing I could think of, and I don't think that's pertains to this situation, is we don't want to cut out something that we could not do in the future. Like if
Correct.
something was preventing,
But if they can go
But if
into
they
a
can-
vault
Yeah.
and not have to do a pad,
right,
and you can do the pad afterwards,
do
and
the pad
everything's into a
afterwards.
vault.
Right.
But are they gonna start doing regular meetings on Wednesdays?
yes. Chris
So
and Nancy, we're back to Wednesdays for our regular, just briefings, right?
The OAC meetings?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, we've been sitting in on these, and typically, an OAC is once we start construction, and with the authorization of this work, I would expect we would be, then we typically would do a weekly meeting. So I think that would continue. And it's been in the superintendent's office with Colin, but it will, once they have a trailer on site, we'll be transitioning the meeting there.
right.
well, I can get more involved again now that we're starting to go somewhere and kind of go through some of the stuff that's on there that we may or may not need.
Yes,
Might help you guys also.
yeah.
I think the one trick here is on this electrical upgrade. We probably would want to go ahead and still authorize this work to proceed. The key again is getting them to order that equipment.
For sure,
And-
yeah.
and
can just
then
amend
we-
it, right?
Absolutely can look
Yep.
at some of the VE ideas there, and whether or not what the value of that is and whether or not we want to proceed with it.
Perfect.
Yep. So
Yeah, that-
Nancy,
yes,
make sure you're always looping in Ryan on any of our OAC meetings.
Ryan Van Leuven,
Yeah,
okay,
he's the board appointee for this project, so.
all right, you got it. Now
Okay.
we kind of stopped doing the school district's OAC meeting because Chris and I were doing a couple of them. Do you guys want to have Nathan set those up again?
Nathan?
Or whoever, maybe
Our
Laura?
weekly meetings were usually with CB, Straight Line, Ryan, Keenan, myself. Maybe Derek Howard.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about scheduling them going forward, because this last couple of them we have
They're
set
Laura.
up.
Oh, that would be Laura that would be scheduling those.
Okay,
Unless
cool.
you want to schedule them.
it's probably just as good if Laura does it.
Okay,
Then she knows all
Well-
the actors. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Perfect.
So we need to set a regular date and time. We have been using Wednesdays at 3, is that right?
2.
2 o'clock on Wednesdays. Does that work for you guys?
I'm
Yes,
good
it
with
works for us.
It does.
Okay, we'll stick with Wednesdays at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, so going back to this schedule, and I think Cheryl's comments on this, what CB has done here is they've put all 4 of these packages and dates on here with specific work elements, assuming that everything gets authorized here pretty quickly and they can start rolling. I don't think that's going to be the case. Well, they've got building excavation for the VOC that starts out in April, so that still could be possible if we can nail down that package. HVAC upgrade demo, yeah, same thing. So those start dates are April. That's still, I think that's absolutely a goal we should be shooting for. Anyway, we have not gone through this with a fine-tooth comb, and for the most part, the contractor owns and manages this and updates it as we go along. And then, as Nancy said in our monthly reports, we'll be reporting on segments of it. How are they tracking on the master schedule versus the overall completion? But I think in general, what Andy with CB Construction shared with us is the goal here is to get this authorized for the 4 work packages so they can come in and really knock out the bulk of this work, get long lead equipment on order, install components so that, and complete the VOC building so that really the real scheduled driver here is going to be this electrical upgrade and that equipment. So that when that arrives next summer, that gets installed, there's time for the switchover, and then everything is active. Until then, things are getting installed, but this next year we won't have the new HVAC systems active. We won't have, even if they've built the building, I think it's going to be important to communicate to people because it could easily be misunderstood that we may have built the VOC building. We may even have finished out the rooms, but we won't have power and we won't have fire alarms in there, and the county's not going to let us occupy that space. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Any questions on the big picture of those 4 work packages and priorities and the scheme here, where we're going with our value engineering and trying to drive this back to being within budget?
No, it's better than what we had.
So Chris, we've included these GMPs in tonight's board meeting. Are you recommending that the board approves these and move forward, or do you still need a little bit of time to work through the details?
Is that the GMP amendment, Sean? The
It's
actual,
it's the GMP on the main power and the panel room that Andy sent out about 4 p.m. this afternoon.
yes, yeah. So that should have the AIA amendments to their contract for that, plus the details.
Yes.
And I just sent a comment to Andy right before the meeting. We had a chance to look at it, and I believe I copied you on that. We asked for some additional details. They've done a much more complete job of finishing those amendments. But I'd like the references to the design to be specific to the dates. So, and that'll be an easy change. It'll be a very quick change. But in general, yes. There's also one number that I think the calculations, the way they're calculating their fee on this, I believe it needs to be adjusted. But that again is going to be a quick change if we are able to talk with Andy tomorrow morning. He talks with Derek and they get that out. So, but in general, yes, I think these are there. They shouldn't be signed tonight, but I believe you're going to be doing that anyway, Sean.
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. But yes, in general, yes, these reflect in the amounts. While that panel room will be a little bit, I believe it should be a little bit different. But yes, we really are recommending there. We're really at a place where these could be approved.
So Chris, as a board, can we approve these with an amendment that the language is changed and right, something like that?
There's
Christine?
so we could approve them tonight with further amendments to be how do we do that? Amendments based on the pricing verification. Read through one more time what those.
Yeah,
those
write
were.
that wording down.
I'm working on it, boss.
Yeah, you bet. And we would like, we've only had,
You
we
did.
only had an hour to glance over things here before the meeting. We were trying to get some other things ready too. So we'd like a little time tomorrow morning to go through them. But we believe that there are minor modifications is the way that I would put it, both to the detail that's in the amendment and possibly to the GMP costs themselves.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I was busy shuffling around. So can you talk through the amendments again? Sorry for the
GMP.
No,
just
no
for the
problem.
electrical and the panel, right? That's the only GMP we're talking about right now.
Yes, two
That's
GMP.
That's correct.
So you're saying it needs further review for payment calculations to CB?
Some of the ways that they're calculating the fee is something we want to question, as well as we would like additional detail in some of the language of the amendment. But we would recommend that the board go ahead and approve these, not sign them tonight, but approve them with the provision that there's some minor elements that we would like to discuss with CB and potentially modify. And we would have those details for Sean so that he could see them before he signs these.
So then we as a board could say that we would, that if the board felt this after hearing all of this information, that they could approve this with the provisions for some minor development changes that would be proposed to Sean, and he can work with Ryan to make sure that those are in line
Yeah.
with what the board has been speaking of, then they could be signed after that.
Right.
Okay. I just want to make sure that
We get
that
this
the board
right.
understands
Yeah.
what they would be approving and what and where that modification goes and who questions that and who gets to kind of sign off on that piece of it. So
Right. And I can tell you, like I say, we'd like to take a little more time because we just haven't had much just to make sure everything else good. But our quick look at it before the meeting, there were just two areas, just so it makes sense to you. One was there's a reference in each of the amendments to what design documents are you using. The language that CB put in there is we're using the latest drawings. We would like to see that reference, actual specific plans. There's a date that they're issued. The plans were issued on such and such a date. The specifications were stamped and issued by the architect on such and such a date. We want to see that reference in there. It's a minor point, but it really helps to prevent contractual disagreements later on. So that's one point. And then the other one is the panel room. I just have questions about the way they're calculating the fee because there's some deductions. The sewer line cost is being deducted, but it's being deducted after the fee calculation. And I think it should be before because that'll result in a lower fee. So if anything, the cost that you're seeing in there would come down a little bit if CB agrees with what we described, or they may have a reason for why they did it the way they did. We haven't had a chance to discuss it with them. So if anything, you'll be able to approve these amendments and these values. If anything, they might come down a little bit.
okay, thank you for that guidance. I
Yes,
appreciate
thank you
that.
very much.
Okay,
Back to you, Chairwoman.
thank you.
Yes, back to you.
So I guess I would like to ask if there are any patron comments or anybody that has any information or they'd like to say anything before we move on. And I don't have a committee today, so I guess there is no discussion. We've already kind of discussed a little bit. I guess my next question is for Nancy and Chris is to our next BOC meeting. I know we talked about stepping that up. I think we were going to have it like twice a month now. Is that correct?
Can I think I'm probably the one to jump in here on this. Cheryl, if you don't mind, can I answer you the long way around?
Sure. That's not a problem. Not
Okay.
a problem at all.
I don't want to take too much of your time because I know we have a school board meeting here in a few minutes. There's been a lot of questions this week, this last couple of weeks, and a lot of frustration has been expressed. And we want to make sure that we're very clear that kind of going forward, the path is going to be a little bit different than what it has been. And there's two fronts that it's going to be different. One of them, the bottom line is for a public project, particularly a bond where you're using taxpayers' money, it has to be transparent. Everything should be open so that the community can see what's going on. And the BOC is a big part of that. Somewhere in the cosmos, I saw an actual document that described what a BOC's job was. I wasn't finding it today, so I Googled it, and every school district in the history of the world has listed their BOC charter, what their rules are, and there it comes down to the same things. Your job is to review the finances, see, make sure that the finances are going where they're supposed to, and that what was promised to the community is happening. And then to be that liaison that takes questions and answers back and forth. Community has questions, bring them to us, we give you answers, you take the answers back. And so the two things that you'll see happening that are going to be a little bit different is, number one, I as a business manager, part of my role is to work directly with the county, the business manager at the school district, the superintendent, awesome folks, make sure that we're meeting their guidelines. We're talking, we're getting, the county was a little freaked out. Awesome was a little freaked out. So during having conversations with them this month has kind of brought things, everybody kind of understands what page we're all on now. And then the other front is communications with you, the BOC, and with the school district. And that, I believe the representative there is Sarah. And so I'm going to be giving you guys information when I have it, but there's going to be times when you want to have BOC meetings, and we can do them more often at the beginning until you guys can really get your arms around it. And they can go as far apart as once every quarter if you feel like we know what's happening and we don't really need a report out right now. So if you want them to be every 2 weeks right now, it might be a little bit of overkill, but we can do it just to make sure that you guys are fully aware of what's going on. And then if you say, once a month is giving us what we need, then we can back off. So how's that for a really long extended explanation?
No, it sounds great, because I understand when things are rolling and we're on track and we have a schedule, we know what's going on, then I see the decline is more valid on the meetings. I am still opening up to all people if they would like to be a BOC member. We are very shorthanded, and we'd like to get more input and more community involved. So contact me, the school board, whomever. We're welcoming all people that would take this into consideration.
Sure. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, how many clock members do you currently have, and how many would you like to have?
Well, we had, I think, like 10, and I
Sounds about
asked
right.
to send out information to all of them to see if they would, I don't know, did you get my little spiel? And I think I sent it to Shirley, and it might have got misplaced.
I think so, because I don't think I got it.
Well, I think I sent, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will send it out again to all the past members. I was hoping that they might reconsider now that we have more of a better feel and guidelines and guidance. But it doesn't matter if we have 10, we still can always get input and use more.
For sure. I have a couple people I can encourage,
Uh-huh.
but I just want to give them some idea of what it looks like right now.
Well,
We're
for
not
the
sure.
last few meetings, we've only had like 3.
Okay.
And then a couple of
Okay.
patrons,
That
and
helps. Okay.
so slim pickings. So anyway, so I'm still reaching out, and it would be wonderful. So I guess at this moment, if there isn't any more discussion or any other questions, I guess we can adjourn this meeting, and we will set up a board meeting, and we'll make it public so everybody knows when our next community bond oversight meeting is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.